Luka and the Mavericks happened. Skip, the old saying, you picked the wrong day to have a bad day at the office. And they picked the worst day to struggle shooting the basketball, and the Mavericks put it all together. And we kind of saw this in Game 6 where they kind of got it going, and Luka got someone to come along with him. But when you get Luka go for 27, and you only score 27 as a team, and then you get Dinwiddie gives you 21 in the first half, Jalen Brunson gives you 22 in the second half, Skip, that's an avalanche that you can't overcome. When your three big guns, they all struggled in the first half. This game was over in the first half. You know when you're down 30, Skip, you're not coming back from no 30-point down in a situation like that. But this was all about Luka. Luka has been special. He's been the best player. There are not very many times that he's gone into a series and he's not the best player in that series. And if you look at what he's done, Skip, in his very brief career, in elimination games, against two of the great defenders of all time, Kawhi and PG, he went 38-9-9. He went 46-7-14. In Game 6 against Mikal Bridges, who was in the running for Defensive Player of the Year, he went 33-11-8. Also, Jay Crowder. Yesterday, 35-10-4 in 3 quarters. He was going to have another. In elimination games, he's averaging over 39, basically 39.5 points per game.
Well, this is the first year he's won a playoff series.
But you think about it, Skip. Had he had someone to come along with him in those situations, had he had maybe a Jalen Brunson giving him this opportunity, who knows what would have happened. But Skip, Luka was the best player in this series. And if you notice, things change with everybody. You know, Luka said after that Game 5, Skip, he said, yeah, everybody got a lot to talk about when you're winning. Okay. Jason Kidd has done an unbelievable job. Skip, that's not to take anything away from Rick Carlisle, but maybe they just needed a different voice, because what they were able to do to Chris Paul, Skip, we haven't seen anybody do this to Chris Paul. Every time Luka got him in the pick and roll, he attacked him. Skip, Jalen Brunson might be shorter than Chris Paul. He attacked him. They picked him up 94 feet. The Pelicans let us on to something. Let's try to pick him up 94 feet. Let's try to weigh him down. Bullock picked him up 94 feet. Finney-Smith picked him up 94 feet. So now, Skip, he doesn't get a chance to rest. We talked about it, Skip. We haven't seen Chris Paul play back-to-back bad games. First 2 games, he was sensational. He played bad game 3. Skip, now we ain't seen him now. We know he going to bounce back. Plays bad game 4. Or you know, hey, Chris Paul ain't going to play back-to-back 3 games in a row. Plays bad. Ain't no, Skip, there's no possible way Chris Paul is going to put together 4 bad games. Okay, he got 2 days off in between because all these games were back-to-back, every other day. Skip, 5 bad games, they wore him down. But this was all about Luka. Luka was the best player in the series, Skip. He led in everything except block shots. Points, rebounds, threes, assists, steals. He did it all. He almost had a LeBron series. Skip, he was the best player on the court, and he proved it throughout the series. Look, I get it. Yeah, the Phoenix picked the wrong day to have a bad game. Game 7 elimination game on your home court. But, man, look here. I don't know had they even played even better. If Luka's playing like this and he gets someone to go along with it, because, Skip, he was, in the first half, he only missed 3 shots. Luka, get what? Don't be surprised you see it playing in the final.
Really? You picking Dallas?
Don't worry about who I'm picking. We ain't got to pick just yet. But if we going to get some dew on it, you can't. You ain't a Warriors fan. They beat your team. But I love a Luka, though.
We'll get there when we get there. We will cross that burning bridge when we get to it.
Yeah, Luka said
that bridge is on fire.
It is.
Okay. My turn. This NBA playoff season has been a series of I've never seen that, and I've never seen that,
right.
And I've definitely never seen that last night, because I've never seen that. I would have bet you 1,000 cases of dew that wouldn't have happened. If you'd given me, I don't even know what the final score ended up, but if you'd given me Phoenix plus 30, I would have bet 1,000,000 cases on that. And it wouldn't have worked, because that happened. And I want to remind everybody before I proceed, those same Phoenix Suns won the West by 8 games. Those same Phoenix Suns, that was over Memphis, those same Phoenix Suns were 11 games better than Miami, which won the East. Think about that. They destroyed the field during the regular season. You mentioned Mikal Bridges. He was the runner-up for Defensive Player of the Year. I thought Devin Booker deserved better in the MVP voting, but it was because of Chris Paul's magical late career year that it undercut whatever Devin Booker's momentum was in the MVP race. True. And I have never seen anything like the late career renaissance that I started seeing from Chris Paul a year ago against my Clippers at that point in a Game 6 at what was then Staples Center. Chris Paul scored 41 points in that game, including 27 over basically the last quarter and a fourth of a quarter. 27 points. I'd never seen such shooting, especially from the point God who would become the two God. And then we saw a Game 6 this year back in his old stomping grounds in New Orleans in which he made, excuse me, I'm getting choked up, all 14 of his shots. It's impossible. He was about to be 37 and he went 14 of 14 and scored 33 points. And even in Game 2 that put them up 2-0 in this series, he scored 28 points and looked like the two God. He looked like he was invincible, and they looked invincible. And that night, that game ended with the still spilling over, sold-out Phoenix crowd in Footprint Arena chanting, "Suns in 4, Suns in 4." And I'm like, maybe, maybe. And I think you were there too. Like, I don't know.
Skip, they're going to go back home now.
Okay, all right. So they go back home. And they win, but they don't win quite as impressively as Phoenix won at Phoenix. I'm going to remind everybody that in the 3 previous games to last night in Phoenix, Phoenix won by an average of 19 points. Get that through your heads out there in TV land. 19 points a game they won by the first 3 games. What was this? What happened? And your man, Luka. Baloney.
Baby bird.
Luka, going into last night in this series, had shot 30% from the three-point line. Is that good? Help me out, Shannon.
No, it's not good.
That was 16 of 54. Boy, that's a lot of missed threes. 30% he was shooting, coming off a very poor shooting game that they actually won back in Dallas. In spite of his 11 of 26 from the floor. Is that good? No. And 2 of 8 from 3? No. And 9 of 14 from the free throw line? No. And he comes right out and he makes, let's just show these. I want to show the first 3 shots because this was the whole game right here. The game is about to be over right here, believe it or not, because on his first one, he gets a switch onto Ayton. And he takes it into the lane. He says, I'm going to toy with you, and I'm just going to step back and fall away at the free throw line and swish it.
Nothing but net.
Nothing but net. And then he gets the switch onto, guess who, the 7-footer, and he says, I got this. I'll step back here in the corner, and there's a 3. And then he says, I got Ayton again. Although Bridges came off and kept him. And another step back 3, and all of a sudden it's 8-3, and you thought, okay, because I'm thinking, well, that's not his history, so history would say he's not going to keep that up. Yeah. He wound up making 6 of 11 threes, which by his standards was fire.
Right.
But the point was, it felt like those first 3 shots just did Phoenix in. Yeah. And all of a sudden I tweeted, I can't recognize the Phoenix Suns because they were lifeless, that they were flat-footed, they were without urgency, they were without energy, and the point guard looked like he was shot. It looked, he wouldn't take a shot because it looked like after he turned 37, remember what happened? He turned 37, and all of a sudden he plays 5 straight games, and in those last 5, he averaged 9 points, 3 rebounds, and 5 assists with 4 turnovers a game.
Well, the problem was somebody told him he was 37.
Well, did it hit home?
Because if no one ever actually told you your age, how old would you be?
I don't know.
It was like they told Chris Paul, you 37. He's like, well, damn, I ain't supposed to be playing like this. And he hadn't played the same since.
He hasn't. And yet, it's not that he was shooting poorly. He just wasn't shooting. Right. Because, look, over those 5 games, he shot 18 of 36. Well, that's half. That's 50%. The problem was his shots per game fell all the way off to only 7 shots per game. Right. From 3 over the last 5 games, he was 8 of 16. Well, that's 50. That's pretty good. Yes. Except it degenerated to only 3 3-point attempts per game. Right. And I want to drive home the fact that last night, it wasn't until the 4th quarter when Chris Paul was left in a blowout game, which they were trailing by 40-odd points, that he actually made all 3 of his shots in the fourth quarter when the game was utterly, completely, hopelessly out of hand.
Yes.
Okay? And he makes 3 and scores 7 of his 9 points in the fourth quarter. What if Monty had just said that's enough and kept him out? Because Dallas sat all of its starters, starting with Luka, through the whole fourth. Only Brunson played.
Right.
Okay? So Chris, against backups, scored 7 of his 9 points in the fourth quarter. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, Skip, he was bad. The last 5 games, you could hardly recognize him. Now, they were talking about, you start hearing things that he had a quad injury going on. Skip, I don't want to hear that. I really don't. And I'm not saying that he doesn't have a quad injury going on.
Okay, but let me say that all my Phoenix sources that I have, nobody heard a peep about any quad injury. And I'm pretty good with my eye test. Dave McMenamin of ESPN reported that sources told him there's a quad injury, but I'm pretty good with my eye test. So are you.
Yeah.
Did you see any indication? I couldn't see it. I'm sorry. And nobody said he was never listed on the injury report, obviously. I can't fathom that. It feels excuse-ridden to me.
That's what it seems like to me, Skip. But you mentioned Luka is not a great three-point shooter. But you know, Skip, if that 3 ball is falling, with his ability to get to the rim,
it's lights
you at his mercy. There's nothing you can do because there's nobody. We've seen Kawhi, we've seen Paul George, we've seen some elite defenders that cannot keep this man from getting where he wants to get. So if that 3 ball starts to fall,
I agree.
It's over. It's over for you.
And it looked like the Suns agreed with you. It looked like he made his first 3, and they were looking at each other like, well, we're done.
Yeah.
We got no chance.
They didn't touch nothing but net. So they hit no rim, and he started early. He started looking around. He started smiling. He started laughing at the crowd. He said something the other night. I think it was Friday night. He said, "Talk now." He hit a shot, and and Phoenix called a timeout. And he looked at Devin Booker. "Talk now."
And listen, I got to tell you, I'm old school about this. He flat out laughs at his opponents. He's laughing up the floor. Shannon Sharpe, back in the day, would not have loved that.
No, you got to do something.
But the point is, the thing I cannot take away from Luka Doncic is he flat out backs it up.
Yes.
And when he backs it up in the lane, mano a mano, it's hard to argue with it because the losing team has to say, well, we can't fight back because you're beating us on the scoreboard and in the lane.
Yeah, but Skip, if I put my best defender, let's just say I'm playing football and you got a receiver and I got my best corner and he's torching my best corner, what can I do as a defensive coordinator? I'm gonna look at the head coach and say, that's my best guy. That's the guy that was in defensive player of the year contention. That's Mikal Bridges. He's finished second to Marcus Smart. And he's eating him up like he's a kid, like he's just a role player, like he's at the back of the bench. Jay Crowder, it doesn't matter. DeAndre Ayton, Booker, it did not matter who they put on him, Skip. I mean, so what are you supposed to do?
Here's what I admired the most about last night. Luka is finally finding the balance between me and them, me and them.
Yes.
It's a hard balance to find. It takes all the great ones. It took Jordan a long time to figure out how to get them involved because you can't do it 1-on-5 every game, all game long.
Right.
So look what he did last night. He managed to get Jalen Brunson 19 shots, which is what Luka took. They each took 19 shots, and Brunson gave you 24. And he managed to get Dinwiddie 15 shots. And Dinwiddie goes crazy and makes 5 of 7 threes and gives you 30 points, along with Luka's 35. When you got those 3 like that, you're going to get shot out of your own place. And they did. Okay, let's look back now at what happened, a flashpoint moment. 8:26 was left in the third quarter. And all of a sudden, Monty Williams yanks DeAndre Ayton. And according to people that I talked to, they got into it on the sidelines so badly that they had to be restrained by other players on the bench and pulled back apart. And I talked to our friend Lil Wayne, who was courtside on the far side, and he said it looked to him, or I don't think he could hear it, but he's probably reading lips. It looked like Monty said something to Ayton about, you freaking quit on us. And I do not doubt that for 1 second, because the problem with DeAndre Ayton, whose contract is still up for grabs.
He's probably still seething that they didn't give him the max contract.
That is correct. But his motor runs low. It does not ever run hot. And the problem is, in a Game 7, you need your big man to impose his will from the start.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give him an equal share of blame because Monty got into it with him. And then when Monty was asked about it after the game, he just said, that's internal. Period. End of comment.
Right.
I'm not going to talk about that. So,
yeah, but I did sit his ass for the rest of the game, and I chose to do that.
He sat him the whole rest of the game. Not that it was a game at that point, but he didn't even let him see the light of play after
Skip the man. Skip it. I mean,
Look
he
at
had
what
5
he did.
shots. What the hell am I supposed to? First of all, he should be insulted that they said, you know what, we're going to let the white power play you head up. He should be insulted. He should be putting up Giannis-type numbers against this cat.
4 rebounds. Way to go.
Come on, man. Skip, you 7 foot tall, and you want them to max you out. Now, bro, come on, DA. And that was the thing, Skip. You can't have all your guys. It's like Book, CP3, and DA. Like, all of them went on vacation at once. And somebody got to stay and man the office, Skip. We all the senior execs can't go on vacation at one time. I mean, Book, Mikal Bridges, 3 of 11, 2 of 9 from Jay Crowder, 2 of 5, 3 of 14 Book, 4 of 8. I mean, come on.
Okay, and I'm glad you brought up Devin Booker because I have tried and tried my darndest to back him on the show, to edge him into superstar.
No.
And he just can't qualify because this is completely unacceptable because in the end, he's the shooter, he's the scorer.
Yeah.
They're going to go as he goes as far as making 3 balls, not that he's a great 3-ball, but making jump shots.
Yes.
And he goes 3 of 14 and 0 of 4 from 3 in a game 7 in your house. It's just not acceptable. And Chris was awful, and he was awful, and Ayton, you could argue, is even worse. But the point is, Devin Booker talked before the game about we're locked in, blah, blah, blah. Well, you got to show me.
You still got to play?
Yeah, you just got to go play.
We locked in. So I guess the other team's like, whoa, my God, man, we ain't got no chance. They locked in. Luka came out. They came out. Look, Jason, the one thing I can say about this, Skip, even when they lost the first 2 games, Jason Kidd like, we going home now.
He did.
So let's just see what we got. And he got them to play. I don't know how he did it, but this is the same team that barely played any defense the last 3-4 years.
Agreed.
And he got them to lock in.
Thank you for bringing that up. I tweeted last night that the real MVP of the Dallas Mavericks is Jason Kidd. Because I'm going to remind you, Luka showed up completely out of shape to start the season.
Right.
You did not like it.
No.
They struggled to 17 and 18 on January the 1st. Think about that. As the calendar turned over, they were 17 and 18. And all of a sudden, Jason Kidd's message started to get through.
Right.
We have to have a new defensive backbone. And he started doing for the Mavericks what Ime Udoka did for the Celtics.
Right.
Gave them some character, some toughness, some backbone.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they started to play, I'm just going to say this, playoff caliber defense that they'd never played before. And yet, remember, after game 2, the big story was, all we do is hunt Luka. Well, they did, but I got to give Luka credit here, too. He finally figured out how to, as Jason Kidd said last night, participate on defense. Yeah. Well, he participated.
Yes.
I was watching it closely. He a lot of times last night, he would just play kind of weird one-man zone where he would just fade around, drop into the middle. But he was trying to stay out of harm's way, where on the perimeter, they would just pick him off and get him onto whoever they want on Booker, and then Booker would cook him.
And Jason Kidd was basically saying, Luka, just don't let them beat you with your initial move.
Yes.
If they don't beat you with the initial move, if they got to go to a second move, we got help coming.
You got it.
Remember in 2011, the Mavericks was a defensive-based team. You look at Stevenson, you look at Marion, you look at they had Tyson Chandler. So now you put Reggie Bullock, now you put Finney Smith. Now they're in the starting lineup. Yeah, they can shoot the ball, but they can also defend because you're going to need defenders, Skip, to help with Luka because Luka, like you said, they're going to hunt Luka. The Lakers, the past 2 years, we want Luka. We looking for Luka. Luka said, you know what? Since everybody hunting me, damn it, I'm going to get me a gun. I'm going to start hunting you too. So now Luka, he'll hunt LeBron. He'll hunt Giannis. He'll hunt Chris Paul. He'll hunt anybody. It's like, oh, y'all want to hunt me? But, you know, I get an opportunity to get the ball also. Skip, when he's playing like this, like you said, it's a fine line because sometimes he get 2-ball dominant central and then everybody else just stand around and say, okay, go do your thing, Luka. But last night, if you let them play like this, Luka gives you 27, and Dinwiddie gives you 21, and then the second half, you got Brunson goes and gives you 22, somebody gonna catch hell beating this team now.
Well, and here's what impressed me the most. Reggie Bullock can shoot the lights out on any given night.
Right.
He was 1 of 4 from 3. We know that Finney Smith can shoot every light out in the building, especially at home, and he was 1 of 3.
Right.
And we know that Kleba can just go crazy from shooting corner threes like P.J. Tucker. He took 1 and made it,
Yeah.
but only 1. So those guys, they did no damage. That's got to be pretty scary to the Golden State Warriors that they did that to Phoenix without those 3 going along for the ride.
They kind of mirror Phoenix because if you, the Warriors.
Yep.
Because if you look at the way they play, Skip, they play 3 guards. They play Luka. Finney Smith is really a guard. They list him as a forward, but he's really a guard.
Yep.
And Bullock, you got basically they play 4 because look at Jalen Brunson. So now all they want to do is get up and down the court too, just like Golden State. So who's going to take and make threes? That's what it's going to come down to. Because Luka's getting in the lane. I don't care who they put on him. You better keep Draymond out of foul trouble. I'm thinking they're going to probably start Draymond. I would not probably start Clay on him. But I don't think Clay is big enough. He's too big for Clay. He's too big for Clay. And Clay is not, Skip, the injuries have robbed Clay of a lot of his lateral quickness, a lot of his ability to hunker down.
Yeah, it'll be Draymond. He's crafty enough to sort of match him in his weird, awkward moves.
He better not get in foul trouble because Luka will go for 50.
All I know is that last night, as I tweeted, the visiting team, the Dallas Mavericks, basically mooned the Suns in their own building. That's what they did. They mooned the Suns, right?
Yeah.
And it was a debacle of a disaster.
I don't know if I mean, the Game 7, I'm trying to think, when have I seen a Game 7 where the road team just basically took apart the home team? I can't recall a game, Skip, because, the crowd get into it. The crowd was never got an opportunity to get into the game because by the time everybody filtered in and it midway through the first and at the end of the first, it's 27-20. And next thing you know, it's 30-10 in the second quarter. The game's over.
10 in the second quarter?
Come on.
How can it be 30-10?
How you only get 10 points in 12 minutes?
How can you have 27 at half and Luka has 27 points? That never happened before. Way to go.
Well, you know it's over.
Congrats.
Thank you for watching. You can subscribe here to get the latest from the show, and be sure to check out more of the best clips from Undisputed, or go watch a few other segments from our other shows on FS1.